Hello, Lachlan. It's Mr. Petrelli. We are back for another video on how music works, and we are back in the Petrelli Music Room. Today's video is going to be about string instruments. Well, what's a string instrument? What do you think a string instrument really needs? Strings. But not like yarn or string that you might use around the house. We're talking strings that are normally made of nylon. Hard strings that won't break and that make a really good tone or pitch. So let's talk a little bit about what string instruments are. A string instrument, when you hit the string, it vibrates. But it needs to vibrate in something, in some kind of body, in order to really resonate and make a tone. So, in an orchestra, you have string instruments like the violin, which is the most popular one, the one that most of you probably know. And then you have a viola, which looks exactly like a violin, just a little bit bigger. And then you've got a cello, which again, same basic shape. And for that one, most people need to sit down to play it because it's so big, you put it against the ground and you play it with a bow. We'll get to the bow in a second. And then the biggest one, the lowest one, is called a double bass, or some people just call it a bass. And that is just like a huge piece of equipment that I don't know why anybody would ever play, because how do you bring it anywhere? It's like this big, you gotta be on your tippy toes to play it, and you can't even look beyond it and play it. It's amazing, but it plays so low. Which, kindergarten, first grade especially, you remember, the bigger the instrument, the lower the sound. So, that goes the same for strings as well. The thicker, the bigger the string, the lower that string can play, the lower the pitch can be. But most of us don't play in orchestras. Most of us listen to music on our phones or the computers or on the radio, all that stuff. And most of the time, the string instrument that you're going to be the most familiar with is this. This is a guitar. No kidding, right? It's probably the most popular and recognizable string instrument, especially in modern music. Now here in Nashville, there's another one that you hear all the time, and it's right next to the guitar here, and it's called a mandolin. The really cool kids call it a mando. But you've got the guitar and the mandolin. And if you were to play these strings, there's a reason, by the way, they're hanging on the wall. They're hanging on the wall because Mr. Petrelli does not play the guitar or the mandolin. He sticks with the piano. But the guitar, the thickest strings, I know it's a little hard to see, the thickest strings are right here and go in order all the way up to the thinnest string. You could barely see it here. And then it makes the sound from low to high. Beautiful. But the same concept is for any string instrument. Let's take the mandolin over here. Really small strings. The instrument is smaller, which means the mandolin is going to be able to play higher notes, and the guitar is going to have the ability to play lower notes. The strings are longer, the strings are bigger, the body, the resonating body, is bigger here and smaller here. So again, guitar, mandolin. All of a sudden I have Nickel Creek in my mind right now. Okay, so there's two ways you can play a stringed instrument. The first way is with the old hands right here. You can strum or pick at it. Pick. Aha. You can use a pick. This is a huge pick, intended so you can see it on camera. But this pick is used exactly what we were talking about, to pick the strings. And when you do that, you get more of a percussive sound. Remember from our video on percussion instruments that the way that you make beats and rhythms using percussion instruments is to strike or hit it. So if you strike or strum the strings, it has more of a percussive sound. The other way is to use a bow. Now this bow has been through some stuff. We'll get to what this comes with in a second. But a bow, you can, when you play a stringed instrument using a bow, that goes back to the orchestral instruments we were talking about. The violin, the viola, the cello, and the bass. And for that one, like you all have seen before, you drag the bow across the strings, and it's more of a, as they say in the music world, legato sound. Now, a bow is made up of a couple of different things. All bows have a hair part that comes from here and there. It's called hair because it's made of hair. Not your own hair, but normally horse hair. And they do that to make a really nice sound on the string. This little device right here is called the frog. It's not made of a frog. It's just called a frog, and that's what holds the hair. If you've noticed, a lot of musical instruments use animals in some way, shape, or form. So, frog, hair, bow, violin, viola, double bass, cello. But this one came with a really weird instrument that's in the Petrelli household. This is an instrument that I have no idea. I don't know its name. I don't know where it's from. I'm not even really sure how we got it. I have no idea how to play it. But there are tons and tons and tons of strings on this stringed instrument. But the basics are the same. It has a body, a hollow body here and here. It has a lot of strings, and the thicker ones will play lower than the thinner ones. So if anybody knows what in the world this thing is, aside from a really cool mantelpiece, let me know, because I don't know. But it's definitely a stringed instrument. So there you have it. So percussion instruments mostly keep a rhythm, keep the beat. Stringed instruments are really cool because they can help with the rhythm. In bands, there's a part called the rhythm guitar part, but they can also stand out on their own and be a really, really great solo instrument, and something that really, when you hear a song, you can recognize that part. How do you make it a stringed instrument? Well, there's one really quick and easy way that you can use materials around your house just to play around and experiment with how strings vibrate. So all you'll need is a little cardboard box like this. You could use a Kleenex box if you want. If you use a Kleenex box, make sure that you use one with the hole in the middle, not one of those with the big hole here, because then it'll automatically just crunch up. And rubber bands. Now, because I'm a teacher, teachers always have thousands of rubber bands around. Maybe you don't have that many, but that's okay. Just find a couple. So I'm going to use my little cutout box here, and I'm just going to grab 3 randomly, having not looked at all, 3 random rubber bands that I had lying around. And if you notice, they are all different sizes. So, different thickness, different size, different sound. So, follow me over here. We'll put the biggest one on first. Just like this. And then followed by the next biggest one. You could also use a cardboard box, which is probably better because it's stronger and thicker and it won't crunch up with the tighter elastic bands. I'm just going to put 3 on because I don't want this to be a 20-minute video. But now, listen. Now I am plucking the notes. But the cool thing is you can play with this most stringed instruments have what's called frets. If you look at the guitar here, these little lines here, if you put your finger on them, that changes the sound. So a Kleenex box does not come with frets, but you can still experiment. If you listen to this red one, the biggest and the lowest one, but what if I put my finger right here? Or the black one? And you could put as many elastic bands as you want. You could try to match them to the notes of the piano, whatever you want to do. It's just a fun way to play it. Now, if you have perfect pitch, don't do this because it will drive you insane. But it is kind of a fun way to make a little instrument at home without much effort. And if you really want to get like a guitar, you take a paper towel holder, stick it in the hole here. Like I said, stick it in the hole there and play. Awesome. And that is how music mostly works.